Welcome to the Travelport TPF Code Accelerator. This is an internal tool for Travelport to assist the TPF developers in doing their job faster as far as editing code as well as creating new code. This is a tool that essentially the purpose is to take all parts of the program, put them in one place in front of the developer in order to make their job faster and make everything they do a little bit quicker. So without further ado, let's see what it looks like. And without getting too technical, we're going to go through a few of the features of it that make it a little bit different from what we're currently using. On this side, we have the includes. These are the main functions outside C++ functions that are going to be used within a program. And then these are macros. They have a similar function. They basically bring more functionality into the program without you having to code each of these things individually. So essentially just things we use over and over, and so they're pre-built. And so what you do is you take your basic includes that you're going to use and you drop them into this section down here. And then that'll include them into your program very quickly. So you take a few of the basic ones you're going to use. Again, if this was a real program, there'd be a much longer list. You'd be able to search through the list and pick out what you're going to need. And then down here, you're going to any variables you're going to need, and this is one of the main advantages. Variables are at the very top of the program generally in the structure, and then the functions you're doing are at the very bottom where you're going to use the variables. And sometimes variable names are kind of complicated. They look a lot like these. And so if you have them right here where you can see them, you don't have to keep scrolling to the top of the program, copying, putting them back at the bottom, or just having to look at them and retype them over and over. And then you can choose your type. This is important in the programming, what type of character. Short. If it's a float, that's also a different type of variable that you're going to use for dollar figures. And you can add an unlimited amount of variables here also, and they're again right there where you can see them when you're going to program. And so you have your includes here. You have your structure. This is basically how your main variables that are pre-made are laid out. These are going to be your additional variables that you add as you go. And then in your main program, you're going to have the structures and then your includes. And this is going to be the main part of your program. Once you have that, what you're going to do next is go in and add your individual functions. So we're going to add students in this function. We're going to add students to a list. And then here's any variables you're going to pass to that function. And we're also going to be able to delete students with this program from the same list. So just an example of a couple, generally in a program you'll have anywhere from 2 to 8 or 9 functions you're going to have within it, depending on the input that comes in. And you can add those across, and then as you go you can just flip between the different tabs. And it'll have your different code that you're going to use. And just for the purpose of contrasting what you just saw against what we're actually working with on a day-to-day basis when we're developing a TPF, this is just an example of a program we recently wrote in C++. You can see up here, this is the include section. A little bit further down, this is the structure, and that was in that separate tab. And these are some of the variables. And again, you create those as you went, but there's usually a section at the top where the ones you know you're going to use throughout are. And then right here, if you look at, these are commented pretty well. It's not always the case. It's always helpful if this is done, but oftentimes you're editing a program that's not done this well. But even still, you can see I'm scrolling through. This is just the main section. Keeps going. And these are the different parts of this program. And then you get down here, and these are the functions that I was showing. These are what you create with those individual tabs. So you would have this function in a tab, go down, you'd have this function, and each of these would be separated. And again, you can see this is a variable that I'm using. It's random array of letters. Sometimes you can remember it, sometimes you need to remember if you have several where exactly that is. So in this case, if I'm writing this function, I need this variable, but I can't remember the name of it. I now have to scroll up all the way up here, find the variable. Okay, that's what it was named, and then come back down to the bottom and continue coding once I find that spot again. And you can see here, this is 440 lines. This is about an average size program. But you can see how much time that takes to go up to the top, back to the bottom, whereas what you just saw, the variables are immediately to your left. Glance to the left, type it in, continue programming. Okay, so what makes Code Accelerator better than what we're using right now? Obviously, we have tools to develop. We have a lot of developers doing a lot of great work. So why make a change? Why do we need this new tool? Well, we saw that you can drag and drop your includes files, your macros, the outside things that are going to let you code faster directly in there, and that's cool. You have tabbed and organized functions. You can put all the functions you're working on strung out across, dynamically created. So you can click from one to the next, see them right in front of you very quickly. And you can add variables dynamically, and you can see the whole list of variables right there to the left of where you're coding at all times after you've added them. And Toolkit can do many of these things very similarly. Toolkit's the main program that we use for working with C++, it's our development environment. But what Code Accelerator does is allow you to do many tasks that take anywhere from 10 to 15 seconds, simple tasks, and lets you do them in 5 to 6 seconds. Small time savings on many of the things that we do over and over and over when we're developing. And you can imagine you spread that time savings over several teams of developers, over the entire company, for projects that last anywhere from days to several months. That all adds up to a lot of time. And when you're paying developers, time equals money. And if we can save developers a little bit of time over and over and over, that's going to add up to big cost savings for the company, and which ultimately makes everybody happy. So thank you for listening to my Hack Day presentation, and if you have any questions, you can direct them to my good friend Will. Thank you.